So a lot of people in progressive media, in AOC, were not supportive of the force to vote. Like, they didn't even consider it a direct action. They were saying that we needed to wait till the right moment. I was a huge proponent of force to vote. We went to DC, we covered it. It was crazy that we had more cops surrounding us and we're at the Capitol on January 6th. But that's an aside. But these criticisms ended up being more focused on Jimmy Dore, ended up being more focused on the personalities pushing force to vote rather than the actual issue. How do you, for somebody, that's looking at this from a Marxist perspective, was forced to vote a direct action? And would you say that it was a waste of time? Would you say it was an important moment that needed to happen?
No, I mean, I think it was a great idea. Let's, use this moment when we're having a pandemic to make people put their money where their mouth is, show who's really for Medicare for all and who isn't. I mean, I think it's a great idea. I found force the vote to be fine. I remember, I'm a fan of Jimmy Dore. I listen to Jimmy Dore here and there. And, I remember I got on Twitter one day and it said trending Jimmy Dore. And I thought, oh, that must just be like trending for me because I listen to his stuff. No, it was trending for all of Twitter. And I clicked on, Jimmy Dore and I saw him being cursed out and he's a Nazi and he's a fascist and he's a crypto Trumper. And I'm seeing this and I'm like, did this guy murder somebody? Did we discover that he's responsible for 9/11? Like, what did he do? And it's just, he's just running force the vote. And it's like, why is there no tolerance for dissent? On the right, look, the Republicans, they can have Lindsey Graham and they can have Marjorie Taylor Greene, but on the left, it's like from DSA to Biden. I mean, you have to march in lockstep, and you can't say, "Hey, let's force the vote." I really find that disturbing, right? I mean, it seems like there is an opening on the right to dissident views, but the left has become so lockstep and uniform, and everyone who doesn't agree gets accused of being, some kind of awful, despicable, cancelable human being. And I mean, it's a very strange atmosphere, I must say.
Yeah. Well, you just exposed yourself as a doorknob, buddy. Now that we know you like Jimmy Dore, you doorknob, Caleb. Let me ask you this one, though. From your perspective, can you explain how one could possibly twist a Marxist theory into voting for Joe Biden? Because we have these clowns out there, and I'm going to call them what they are, like Vosh and others, you know what I'm saying, who have taken to the theory, combined it with, this Marxist theory combined with, let's reform the Democratic Party. Let's get these bourgeois lefts to do what we need them to do. Can you somehow square that circle for us?
Well, look, okay, I mean, I can understand how, in some ways, Biden was better than Trump. In some ways. I mean, he was better on immigrant issues, I would say. He didn't preach anti-immigrant demagogy as much. And he also, he didn't seem to be as hostile to Muslims. And so those who are concerned about some specific issues might feel that Biden is better. But then again, Trump seemed less hawkish and less pro-war in a lot of ways. Trump seemed, less like he was, a supporter of the establishment and of the status quo in the United States. So my position was, I don't really know who's better in the 2020 election. But the notion that Biden and that voting for Biden is in any way going to get us closer to a socialist society is particularly outrageous. I mean, there's just, there's nothing socialist about Joe Biden at all. I mean, this is a man who is the establishment. He's like the walking incarnation of the very American establishment that those of us who are socialists and progressives should be trying to mobilize against. I found that to be a little bit shocking. Look, there's so much confusion, and again, socialism is about building things up. It's about loving your community, loving your country, loving the world, and wanting to organize it rationally and march toward a better society where we don't have poverty and war and instability. But unfortunately, I feel like left-wing politics in a lot of ways has become attached to maybe the more adolescent and destructive impulses that some people have. There are some folks who, they really are angry at society. They're angry about injustice. Those destructive impulses, you might call them, the impulse toward aggression, that leftism has kind of become a space where we give people permission to unload their hate and their resentment and their anger. And people, I mean, people have a definite right to be angry. There's plenty to be angry about in the world, but that's not the essence of what socialism is. I mean, the essence of socialism is people coming together and building something new and building a whole new world. And the toxic atmosphere that we've seen, the cancel culture, the shrill accusations, that all seems to be kind of, really a result of the fact that so much of leftism has pushed deconstruction, right? The idea that we're going to take apart existing narratives. Well, Marxism does take apart existing narratives, but it replaces them with the Marxist narrative, with the dialectical and historical materialist understanding of human history. It's not simply a vehicle for deconstruction. Postmodernism is very different than Marxism. Postmodernism is the idea that there is no truth, that all historical narratives should be deconstructed. And postmodernism and Marxism are not the same thing. And a lot of what has been pushed in academia and kind of passes for socialist and Marxist thought is this kind of destructive, ideology that just tears things down and doesn't build anything up. And I think that can explain why there's so much confusion and shrillness on the internet.